Here it is in all its glory, the 2-liter EcoBoost. I now have 4 total liters of EcoBoost ready to go. I think this is the part where I say do not try this at home. Yep, so step 1, remove your tailgate, of course. Step 2, I guess have an F-150 with a rack. Step 3, get a ratchet strap tied onto everything, and hope to God none of it snaps. But this actually went pretty smooth, so lowered it right down, no problem. All right, well that went a little better than I expected, I'm not gonna lie. But the engine is down on the ground. So funny enough, this engine, it's only 1,000 miles fewer than the car. It's almost the exact same mileage as the car currently is, about 91,000. Got a good deal on it as long as it works, which I'm not gonna know until I do all the work to swap it in. So only one way to find out, you know. Hopefully I don't end up regretting all of this. And time to start removing all the things that I just put in because, you know, that's what you get for not compression testing first. But no big deal, we're just gonna get all the vacuum lines off, wiring harness off, catch cans off, as well as the intake manifold, and that is gonna allow us to finally start draining some coolant and get into what is really holding this engine in, which is gonna be the transmission and 3 motor mounts around the engine bay. Sit rep, it's really bright and we are screwed. Not really, it's not that bad. But we've got the hoist hooked up to the engine as well as wrapped around the transmission here, kind of hillbilly, but you know, whatever it takes. About to take the axle off. We got the nut off, which was supposed to be the really difficult part, but the old DeWalt got her going. Not gonna lie, this has been one of the more difficult engine pulls that I've done. Probably because I did it in the dumbest way possible. And a lot of that is just because I didn't have the right tools or a lift. If I had a lift, I could have just dropped the whole subframe out, but I had to separate the engine and trans, pull the engine out. I'll pull the trans out the bottom, and then after that, we'll figure out what the heck. Also, I left my jazz music on. Hope you enjoy the ambience. Now, thankfully, the hoist actually did have enough height to get over the AC condenser, radiator, crash bar, all that stuff. So got the engine right out and literally did pull the trans out the bottom. I'm not gonna lie, I kicked my butt a little bit. But there it is, finally. An empty engine bay, spilled oil, spilled coolant, an absolute mess. With any luck, we're gonna get it all back together. We're gonna get this guy unwrapped and we're gonna plop that in here. One thing I'm really happy about, and I hope it stays this way, but you can see the AC compressor down there is still completely connected to all the AC lines, to the front AC condenser. It's all still connected, which means that 1, I don't have to pay to get it recharged. 2, didn't release any of it into the atmosphere, so you know, that's good for the environment, I guess. Got a free tire out of the deal. Can't discount that. Okay, here it is, the, you know, quote unquote new engine. I will be swapping over. It's kind of funny which parts this does and doesn't have. It's got some of the solenoid tubes. It's got all the pulleys, you know, but no turbo. I've got 2 turbos actually, so we should be fine there. I'm gonna move over anything that looks clean on the old engine to the new engine. I'll give this a nice little clean up so it looks good going in the car. You know, new intake manifold. I think the one that came from the car is cleaner, so I might swap that one on, unless I can just clean this one off, obviously. But overall, doesn't seem to be in bad shape. Nothing's broken. Got a new fuel tube for this guy. This, unfortunately, is bent for the coolant tube to go into and cut right here, but obviously we have all of that off of the old engine. Let's swap some parts over. And once again, just removing yet another intake manifold, some other random tubes, you know, vacuum tubes, fuel, coolant, all that. Take off the rear axle bearing bracket. It'd be really nice to have an engine stand, but okay, next step, we got to get the clutch off the old engine so that we can now mate the transmission to the new engine, and then obviously put that all in one piece, hopefully back into the car. Now, I was told that this clutch was recently redone, but I'm not sure how to feel about that. I'm seeing tons of hot spots, so hopefully we're not looking at replacing a clutch too. Now, I wanted to use the big Ugga Dugga to get these flywheel bolts out, but I can't find my 1/2 to 3/8 adapter, so let's see if this is even possible really quick. Oh geez, I don't know about that. Yeah, those are torqued pretty tight. Gotta find an adapter. Could not find my adapter anywhere. Ended up having to go get one at AutoZone. I've been the guy on the wrong end of being sold crappy vehicles too many times. I've had to replace multiple engines. There was a Duramax I bought when I was in my early 20s, and that thing was treated horrendously. It came out of a dealership, had low miles, but it ended up needing new injectors, a full new suspension, front end rebuild. The truck ended up costing probably $8,000 to $10,000 because this dealership just didn't do any due diligence before they passed it on to me. I paid good money for it too, so I've just been on the wrong end of too many cars that were not taken care of and not put together correctly by the time they got to me. And I don't want to do that to somebody else. So, on to the next steps. All right, check this out. You hear that? That is the sound of loose bearings. Luckily, the new clutch came with a new one of these, so I can install that. I'm also gonna clean a bunch of this gunk out of here, just gonna degrease it. But finally, we're gonna be able to put that and these and this all together, and I'll show you all of it. Here we go. It's time for the all-important clutch install. I went ahead and cleaned this main seal up a bit. Everything looks fine. I'm not seeing any indications of leakage anywhere. We're gonna go ahead and pop the dual mass flywheel on. We're gonna get these flywheel bolts torqued down. Had to buy new bolts because they are one-time use. They stretch after you use them, and that's all you get. So we're gonna throw all that on right now. Now, obviously, we're gonna do this very carefully. I'm not gonna be just ratcheting this thing down. We're gonna be going in a star pattern, not tightening anything up until everything is seated. Just using this to save me some ratcheting time. So we're gonna have 37, 59, and 83 at the final. Now keep in mind that doing all of these torque specs, you are doing the first one in a star pattern, then you are going back and doing the second one in the same star pattern, and your third, once again, that same star pattern. The dual mass there with that spring to smooth up the inputs through the engine. Nice, all torqued up. Make sure we get all the cardboard dust wiped out of here. All right, now for dessert, the clutch pressure plate and clutch plate itself. Okay, a little dab of blue on each of these. Put that on my fingers. This is another remnant of the twin turbo Mustang build. Got lucky there. Get our alignment tool. throw it in here. Very important, because it's gonna make my life so much easier when I go to actually install this thing. Now it says for these bolts, you're only supposed to do 2 turns at a time until you hit 22. Now the reason for this is so that you are compressing the spring within the clutch at the same rate all the way around. You don't want to just wrench one bolt all the way down before you get to the rest, because that could mean that you're compressing one side of the spring and not the other, and then the clutch will not be even and it won't be wearing even or working correctly. Okay, we are on to swapping the new turbo. Well, I say new, old turbo back onto this car. And I'm gonna go ahead and swap this idler pulley, actually sorry, water pump pulley. I'm gonna go ahead and swap that. Crank pulley looks fine. I was gonna swap this, but it's spinning fine. Check this out on the old engine. No play whatsoever. So that's not good. Check that out. New gaskets all around, new V-band to the downpipe, new studs, nuts, and all the other little bolts that go with the turbo. Now everything did end up seating nicely. I'll give you a little spoiler. There weren't any leaks, no exhaust leaks, no oil leaks. I was actually really happy with everything that this gasket kit included. For the banjo bolts, oil feed, coolant feed, it all went pretty smoothly. Yeah, I think it was about 60 bucks online, and everything went in as it should. Although this part was kind of goofy. I had to undo the coolant feed line and oil feed line so that I could reach that last bolt. I guess I kind of got a little ahead of myself there, but no big deal. Also, what the heck? My orange shirt is lighting up the entire face of the back of the block there. Kind of goofy, but oh well. That's construction life. So, getting everything connected back up here. And believe it or not, I think that's that. We got the engine prepped to receive the trans, so that's gonna be our next step. We'll take this guy, we'll get the little bit of, I put this lubricant here so I wouldn't forget to put it on the spline, and we'll go ahead and get that put onto that somehow. There it is, one piece hanging, ready to go back in. Got all the bolts torqued down to 35 foot-pounds, did the star pattern as always. Made it up pretty nicely, to be honest. I'm excited to get it back in the car, but obviously this is the biggest battle we've faced so far. Everything else has been a warm-up. All right, what happened is I was filming a beautiful time lapse of myself lowering the engine in all together with the trans, using the jack. It went beautifully. I angled it in, you know, settled it in. It went right into the rear fork of the rear motor mount. I was able to put this mount on, put the trans mount on, torque it all. It all went perfectly. I went to go check the time lapse, and the time lapse failed on the save. I don't know why that is. I think it's kind of a known issue with iPhones. If you go over a certain length on time lapses, probably took me 20 to 30 minutes to get this in. And I was annoyed that the time lapse failed. So I just kept going. So as you can tell, wiring harness is going. We got some coolant pipes happening, alternators in, air compressor, well, AC compressors in, starters in, new fuel line is in. We've got the passenger side axle in. Yeah, all kinds of things that I just kind of went wild on. Also, just want to show you guys an example of little things that you come across while you're doing a build. This is the thermostat that goes into the block, and as you can tell, something is not quite as it should be. That interior gasket behind the spring is just sticking out, just not doing its job, and also not allowing the spring to do its job. Things that if I hadn't taken it apart, I wouldn't even know were wrong until something actually failed. So just keep an eye out for stuff like that when you do a rebuild. And one of the final things that I've been wanting to do is get this permanently wired back up on the brake fluid reservoir. I know that these are correctly wired now because it didn't flash any error codes. If they were backwards, you know, it would say brake fluid empty, but it's not saying anything. So that means it's happy, brake fluid's full. So we're just gonna go ahead and crimp them, get some heat shrink on there. Yep, this step is pretty self-explanatory, just making sure I know which wire went to which wire, and there are only 2, so, you know, 50-50 chance even if I did get it wrong again. But just stripping them back, crimping them, and doing the heat shrink, making sure that it is a weather-tight and vibration-tight seal, and putting it back cleanly. And here we go, Once again, got ahead of myself, and we are going into the first start.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, I disconnected the battery.
All right, everybody. First drive. Just got it pulled out onto the driveway. The AC works, the dash works, no check engine lights. Transmission is smoother than it used to be when I played around with it. All the gears work. We're gonna take it to the gas station, fill up the tires really quick, and then Taco Bell? You guys got it. This is crazy. It'll never be this loud again with the hood on, but it's like I'm in Tokyo Drift right now. Okay, well, here we are in a random parking lot. Headlights are on, everything's working. We have no error codes, no check engine lights, no leaks that we can see. The exhaust is banging around back and forth a little bit in the rear, but I think we're in business. You might be wondering why I've called this meeting. So I went to the gym today and great trip over, no problems, parked. As soon as I parked, the car started sounding like a Subaru, and I got a misfire code, like crazy timing, cylinder 4 misfire. So I'm gonna get into the engine in the Planet Fitness parking lot, swap some coils, see what's going on. If it's a bad cylinder, I'm just gonna limp it home. Maybe a new coil will fix it, but there's only one way to find out. Step 1 is to pull the spark plug and check it. Okay, spark plug's dry, so that's a good sign. I don't see any oil or coolant on it. So the spark plug on cylinder 4 looks good. So the second thing I did was swap the 2 coil packs here and here. If the misfire follows to cylinder 3, we know it's the coil pack. If not, we know it's the cylinder. Check this out. The misfire followed from cylinder 4 to cylinder 3. So that means it's the coil pack. Okay, coil pack is swapped out. Here's the, oh gosh. Never mind, gotta go fix that. The wipers were on and knocked all the sockets into the engine bay. The thing sounded like a Subaru when I started it up before, so let's see what happens. Oh, clean. Literally a brand new coil pack from LKQ that was bad. We are good to go. Whew. Talk about a scare, guys. That is crazy. All right, problem solved in the PF parking lot. Well, the Focus is gone. Just like that. I was ready to, go on the whole selling journey and find a new project car with you guys and figure out what the heck was going to happen. And now I'm sitting in that next car. Here we are. So come back for episode 3 if you want to figure out what the heck this is.